to NPS Now, your source of news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner. And with me today is Marquita Sykes, Family Support Services Specialist with Norfolk Public Schools. Welcome, Marquita.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on NPS Now.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Around this time every year, we bring awareness to homelessness in our country and our community. And what type of services does Norfolk Public Schools have for our homeless children or children in transition?
Yes, for our families in transition, we enroll them immediately into school. Based on their case and their situation, we enroll them to their school of origin or school of residence. We provide transportation for them to and from school throughout the whole school year, and we provide meals for them throughout the day, free meals for the students.
Okay, that's good. How do we consider someone homeless?
Well, the definition of homeless is not having a adequate or appropriate nighttime residence. We consider students living in hotels or motels, in shelters or transitional housing. We also consider students as living in cars or public places, or living doubled up, which means they're living with family or friends, or sometimes we call it couch surfing. This year and a couple of years past, we also had a growing number of unaccompanied youth, which means students that are living with someone who does not have physical custody of them.
So is that a particular act that governs us to do this for these students?
Yes, we have the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act, and with this act, we ensure that all children that are experiencing homelessness have a free and appropriate access to education.
And this is a federal?
Yes, this is a federal law, and all students have to be enrolled immediately into school.
Wow. So how many students do we have this year, Marquita, that are homeless?
Yes, this year we are currently serving and have enrolled 340 students.
Wow. So how many did we have last year?
Last year we had 606 students that were enrolled. That's
a lot of students.
Yes, it is.
So you think it's because of the economic turndown, or?
Yes, a lot of our families, because of economic hardship or lost their job, they have to move from place to place. They're living with family or friends or whoever will let them in. They're in transition and they're trying to get on their feet, but while they're in, we just want to make sure the kids are in school.
So with that type of support that we give them, I mean, how successful are we with this?
Well, we're very successful. Now we're trying to get the information out to all of our schools, make sure that our parents know the services that we have available for them. This year we have backpacks in all of our schools. These backpacks are filled with school supplies and hygiene kits for the students. And once they enroll, they get the backpack from their school office. We also supply the schools with uniform closets, so to make sure that all of our students, when they come in, can have the appropriate clothing.
Now, do we partner with the city and the city agencies here in Norfolk to support the families? Yes,
and we have monthly meetings with the shelters. We are also going to be providing, starting in December, tutoring in our homeless shelters with a tutoring company that we're working with. We just make sure that those students get what they need also.
Great. So how can we as the general public, if we're interested in supporting our homeless or transitional families, what can we do to volunteer and support you in this effort?
Well, any support is needed, going out, helping the families find clothing or find, as we said, hygiene kits and things that's needed. A lot of our schools do have churches that are involved that give food banks, so they give those backpacks filled with food to the kids each week. A lot of our churches, they know about our McKinney-Vento students, and they support the students that are in their community, in their church. So anything that anyone can do to help out, even if it's just being a mentor to the students, to make sure that they're emotionally ready in school.
So if I have extra uniform shirts and pants, or want to donate underwear and socks and other type of clothing, who would I contact here in Norfolk Public Schools?
You can contact me. You can call me anytime between 8 and 4:30 at 628-3944. I'm located in room 709 of the Central Administration Building.
And what's the title of your office?
My office is the Office of Early Learning / Title I. And also you can contact the parent liaisons in any of the elementary schools. They're familiar with McKinney-Vento and the school office managers also.
Okay, so you can contact your closest school as well
Yes.
as your department. I saw the other day a beautiful Christmas tree in the lobby with a lot of angel tree names on that. Tell me about your giving tree.
Yes, we have a gift-giving tree every year in the lobby. What we do with the tree is we, for all of our students that are enrolled under McKinney-Vento, we get their information, like their sizes, their hobbies, favorite colors, their ages, and we don't only get the kids that are in school, we get their whole family. So if they have, if the mother has a child that's not in school yet, we also get that information, and we put it on the tree on an NPS apple ornament. For those ornaments, we ask that the NPS staff and courtside staff, anyone who's willing to help our students out, to come and get the ornaments off the tree, and they can put the ornament on the gift and put it back on the tree. We're asking that the gifts are here by December 9th, so that we can get it out to the parents who will be picking them up on the 16th and 17th of December.
Wonderful. How long have we been doing this angel tree?
Well, we've been doing it since I've been here the last 3 years, and I think it's been going on even longer than that. So I'm thinking at least the last 5 years we've been having the gift tree in the lobby.
That is such a great opportunity for us to give and to give back to other families. And I want to thank you, Marquita, for coming on the show today and sharing this valuable information with us. I know I've been enlightened about our homeless situation, and the numbers just seem very high.
Oh, yes.
So another question for you real quick before we go to our next segment. 600 and something students last year.
Yes.
Is that like after the new year when the numbers jumped?
Well, it was about the same as we are this year. About Christmas time last year, we had about 315 students already enrolled, and then after that, we got the next 300. This year, I'm thinking we're going to have even more than that 606 that we have, because every day the number is increasing.
Wow. Well, sharing this information with me today, I hope it challenges all of us to want to give back this holiday season, and so they can come down to the lobby, pick a name off the tree, and bring the gifts back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. And if they do come, we do have security, so you need to bring your ID,
yes,
correct?
Yes, please bring your ID.
So then you can come get an item and return it to us.
Yes.
Thank you again for sharing this information, and we want you to stay tuned here to NPS Now for a special interview coming up next on NPS Now. Welcome back to NPS Now. With me today is Lacey Caruth, the Transportation Manager for Norfolk Public Schools Transportation Department, who will share her passionate story about the homeless. Welcome, Lacey, to NPS Now.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We just recently recognized National Hunger and Homelessness Week, and you were recognized by the 4Kids organization and given their Phoenix Award. But you have your very own unique story to share. But first, tell me about that night, the award that you received from the 4Kids organization.
We came in back in August, September. They told me I was nominated for the Phoenix Award, and it was basically an award to recognize, where we've come since we were in their homeless shelter program, and where we've, what steps we've made to overcome being homeless.
That afternoon, the award, I understand someone presented you this special award.
Yes, they surprised me with, Dr. King came and presented my award for me, and it really meant, it really meant a lot that he could take time out of his day to come for that recognition.
What an encouragement to you and to others. Wow, so what else did they give you special?
Each of us, there was another recipient. Each of us got a $5,000 scholarship for education, and it was really important with knowing that I'm this close to finishing my degree. It'll really help out.
How did it make you feel?
Well, just the whole thing was just an amazing night. Just that so many people recognize where homeless families have been and where they're coming from, and where we're going.
Why do you think they selected you?
You know, we went back through when we did the initial interview for the award, for the nomination, and went through all the steps, and I didn't even realize, you know, everything that I had gone through and been through and accomplished since then. And it just, you know, was an overview of everything that we've gone through, and that's what made them end up just selecting me for it.
I appreciate you coming on camera today and sharing with us about homelessness and that you were an actual resident at 4Kids before.
Yes.
Share with us, if you could, your unique story.
It was back in 1996, 97. We had a roommate, and she ended up leaving, and I couldn't afford to keep the house. So basically she said, you know, you have a week to be gone. And there was nowhere for us to go. I was working full time, but I just didn't have the money to go into a place. So we ended up living in our car for 2 weeks.
Wow. I bet that was a humbling experience.
It was. There was a lot of times that, you know, you feel like giving up. You don't feel like going on. You know, you wonder, why do I have my kid out here? You know, why are we sleeping in a car? Then I came across, in the phone book, I started calling shelters, and that's when I came across the Haven with 4Kids.
And you were working full time.
I was working full time, getting up every morning, you know, taking him to daycare, going to work. You know, nobody knew we were homeless except us.
And I think the misconception that the public has is that homelessness is just people just sitting on the streets and not working. But you were a full-time employee working.
I was a full-time employee, and, you know, homelessness it's not just someone sitting on the street, you know, asking for money. Homelessness is real with families. You know, there's kids every day that are, you know, they don't know where their next place they're going to sleep is. I took different steps to come away from being homeless. I was in their program for 3 or 4 years total, through transitional housing and permanent housing. But during that time, I became a bus driver with Norfolk Public Schools, and I went to back to school. I got my associate's degree last May, and will have my bachelor's degree this December. And, you know, just it helped me learn how to strive more for more, you know, not just settle for what I had.
What motivated you to keep pressing forward?
My son. He's been a trooper, you know, every year. So we do it together.
And is he one of our Norfolk Public School students?
He is. He's a junior at Norview High School.
Wow. I know he's very proud of you.
He is, and I'm proud of him. You know, he's overcome a lot too along the way.
And you are a success story, Lacey, because I understand we do have some employees who are homeless.
Yes, we do. And, you know, I hear of some of them, and I don't hear of a lot of them. And it's just something that people need to keep in their minds, that you can make it through it, you can get through. You know,
Right.
you
So-
can come out on top.
So what would you say to a mother or a father or grandmother who is in transitional services or currently homeless to encourage them to keep pressing forward?
My biggest thing was that I just kept thinking there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, this is just a little stepping stone, and you can make it through this if you keep trying.
Now you've definitely moved on and kept things going for you and your son. So as transportation manager, I'm sure you're involved or you see some of the services that we provide the students with transportation. How do we do that for our kids who are homeless?
When we get requests in, we look and see if we have buses that we can accommodate. We try to get the kids, you know, that the school setting is probably one of the only stable places they have at that point. So we try to make sure that we're able to get them where they need to go. You know, we do it through LPR, through HRT, through school bus, however it takes us to get them there. We try to make sure that they get to go to the same school so that they have that stability.
Mm-hmm. So I understand is one way we transport them on the elementary level, but on the secondary level, we provide transportation a little differently.
We do. To my knowledge, we do a cab for most of the elementaries that are out of town. But for middle school and high school, they're now done through HRT tickets. Is the best of my knowledge.
Mm-hmm. So they'll catch the public transportation.
City buses. Yes.
Wow, you are truly a success story, and despite all the things that may have happened, I think someone watching this show will be very proud and say, okay, I'm encouraged by Lacey Carruth, who works in transportation. And I think your coworkers can be proud of you too for coming on the show and sharing this information. And especially around this year, we have a lot to be thankful for. So I want to thank you, Lacey, for coming on the show today and sharing your story about homelessness and how you can keep moving and pressing forward, encouraging others to do so too.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in to NPS Now. We want you to stay tuned because up next, we'll have sports with Steve Stutmiller.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Stutmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today, we're going to talk about middle school athletics, and we have two special guests here. Emily Poller, Athletic Director at Northside Middle School, and Coach Steve Kuther from Lafayette Winona Middle School. Welcome.
Thank you.
Emily, we're going to start with you. Talk a little bit about middle school athletics and what we have to offer our student athletes.
Well, we have 4 different seasons throughout the course of the school year. A lot of different variety of sports. We have football, softball, club, boys and girls soccer, boys and girls tennis, boys and girls basketball, boys and girls volleyball, boys and girls track, also baseball club, field hockey. I think I've hit them all, and as well as debate and forensics to offer for the students.
Sounds like a number of opportunities that students can get engaged in. We started this program back in the mid-90s where we only had boys and girls soccer and boys and girls track. So it's really expanded the opportunities for student athletes.
Yes, there's, something for everybody every season. We also, they've added competition cheer over the last couple of years. There's been a number of additions throughout the years.
Coach, our newest sport is football. And I want to first congratulate you for an undefeated season and winning that Norfolk Portion Middle School League Championship. We're always glad that we can keep that trophy in Norfolk. Talk a little bit how you get your students involved in participating in your sport and maybe even assisting other coaches to help getting them student athletes.
Well, I think football has created a partnership between the middle schools and the high schools. So letting the kids know that you're preparing for something more, moving on from middle school to high school, letting them know that other people are watching them. Not only their parents and the staff come to the football games, but even the football coaches that they may play for in the future are at these games.
Okay. Emily, we have participation, but we have to have some guidelines for student athletes to participate. Yes. Talk a little bit about the eligibility and what it takes to be a student athlete first.
Well, first and foremost, they have to maintain a 2.0 grade point average, a C average. Be students in good standing. They also have to complete a sports physical for the school year, and as well as in the last couple of years, we've added the concussion training that they have to complete, and basically just maintain their status as a student athlete.
For parents, what do they need to know, especially for the audience of maybe some of our elementary school students, 4th and 5th graders that are athletes out in their community league? What do they need to know to prepare, and are they eligible when they come into middle school as 6th graders?
Yes, 6th graders coming in for the first time, they are eligible right away. And then after that first quarter, they need to show that they're maintaining that 2.0 average, the C average for the students. But the other thing that's a big thing that we run into a lot is making sure that they have that sports physical prior to the start of the season. So many kids come out the first day of tryouts and they haven't gotten their physical yet, and the parents ask, well, can they still participate? But they're not eligible until they have that physical on file with the athletic director. And they've done the concussion training. So those are the two big things. The school system does a really good job of offering opportunities to have the physical done at the school for a very low cost. So it's good to take advantage of those opportunities that are out there.
Okay. Coach, safety is our #1 thing for all athletes at the middle school level and the high school level. How do our coaches participate in providing a safe atmosphere for our student athletes?
Well, just as the students have to participate in concussion training, concussion videos, and to understand what a concussion is, our staff is fully trained on how to deal with an athlete when they have a concussion or we suspect that they may have a concussion. Norfolk Public Schools has done a great job of putting in a process for return to play after a student is concussed.
Okay. All right. Good information. Coach, you have a middle school program. You had an undefeated season. How is your middle school program preparing these athletes to go to the next level, to the high school level?
Well, the first thing we do is make sure that the students are doing what they're supposed to do in the classroom. I think that's the biggest piece of it all is academics. And then on the field, we prepare them with the basics that they need to know from an offensive perspective, from a defensive perspective. And I talked to some of the high school football coaches and asked them what they look for in a 9th grader coming up into their high school program, and I try to instill that into my middle school program.
Okay. For both of you, athletics is a positive part of the school system, positive part of a school. Just how does that build morale in your school, Emily?
Well, I even hear this from some of the other students that even at the middle school level, they're starting to get into, we want to support all of our teams, so they try to get out to as many events as they can. And it just kind of starts to build that school pride, wanting to root for your teams, and it gives them an outlet to also just have some social time at school as well, and just develop their skills as an overall person.
And that's what athletics is about, is trying to develop that skill to be a good citizen at the end of their athletic career and as their students. Coach, you just won that middle school championship. How is that morale in your school with that championship?
Well, the morale in the school went through the roof, especially when we came back on that Friday and everybody learned that we had actually won the game. Many of the teachers and administrators come out to support, and it does so much for the kids to see that the teacher cares so much more about them outside of the classroom as well as in the classroom. So I think it does, it improves the aspect on many levels on the field as well as in the classroom. The students know that the teachers care.
Okay, it's middle school athletics is popular. It's serving the needs for student athletes. It's serving the needs of our community. It's serving the needs of our school system to advance our school system. It's part of our school system. Do you see anything on the horizon that can involve and develop more middle school athletics opportunities?
We do. I mean, we almost offer everything that the high schools offer, with the exception of swimming, and I think some of the schools also offer golf and some other things. So in terms of other sport availability out there, I mean, not sure how many more we can add into our already packed schedule, but as far as maybe adding, more games, maybe building on that. Right now we do a 6-game season in tournaments, for majority of the sports. So I mean, there's a lot of room for the teams to maybe add more people, really developing all of the skills.
Well, a lot of good information today. I want to thank each of you for being here, and we look forward to more middle school athletics this season, because we have a lot more to go. We're in our Winter 1 season now, and we have our Winter 2 and our Spring to go. So again, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching NPS Now.